يكون. يا من أرقدني في مغاد أمنه وأمانه، وأيقظني إلى ما منحني به من مننه وإحسانه، مغاد أمنه وأمانه، فالسوء عني بيده وسلطانه. صل اللهم على الدليل إليك في الليل الأليل، والماسك من أسبابك بحبل الشرف الأطول، والناصع الحسب في ذروة الكاكل الأعبال، والثابت القدم على زحاليف غاف الزمن الأول، وعلى آله الأخيار المصطفين الأبرار. وافتح اللهم لنا مصاريع الصباح بمفاتيح الرحمة والفلاح، وألبسني اللهم من أفضل خلع الهداية والصلاح، وأغرس اللهم بعظمتك في شرب جناني ينابيع الخشوع، وأجر اللهم لهيبتك من آماقي زفرات الدموع، وأدب اللهم نزق الخلق مني بأزمة الخنوع. إلهي إن لم تبتدئني الرحمة منك بحسن التوفيق، فمن السالك بي إليك في واضح الطريق. وإن أسلمتني أناتك لقائد الأمل والمنى، فمن المقيل عثراتي من كبوات الهوى. وإن خذلني نصرك عند محاربة النفس والشيطان، فقد وكلني خذلانك إلى حيث النصب والحرمان. إلهي أتراني ما أتيتك إلا من حيث الآمان، أم علقت بأطراف حبالك إلا حين باعدتني ذنوبي عن دار الوصال. فبئس المطية التي امتقت نفسي من غواها، فواغا لغى لما سولت لغى ظنونها ومناها، وتبا لغى لجرأتها على سيدها ومولاها. إلهي قرعت باب رحمتك بيد رجائي، وغربت إليك لاجئا من فرط أغوائي، وعلقت بأطراف حبالك أنامل ولائي. فاصفح اللهم عما كنت أجرمته من زللي وخطائي، وأقلني من صرعة ردائي، فإنك سيدي ومولاي ومعتمدي ورجائي، وأنت غاية مطلوبي ومناي في منقلبي ومثواي. إلهي كيف تطرد مسكينا التجأ إليك من الذنوب غاربا، أم كيف تخيب مسترشدا قصد إلى جنابك ساعيا، أم كيف ترد ظمآنا ورد إلى حياضك شاربا. كلا وحياضك مترعة في ضنك المحول، وبابك مفتوح للطلب والوغول، وأنت غاية المسؤول ونهاية المأمول. إلهي هذه أزمة نفسي عقلتها بعقال مشيئتك، وهذه أعباء ذنوبي درأتها بعفوك ورحمتك، وهذه أهوائي المضلة وكلتها إلى جناب لطفك ورأفتك. فاجعل اللهم صباحي هذا نازلا علي بضياء الهدى وبالسلامة في الدين والدنيا، ومسائي جنة من كيد العدا ووقاية من مرديات الهوى. إنك قادر على ما تشاء، تؤتي الملك من تشاء وتنزع الملك ممن تشاء، وتعز من تشاء وتذل من تشاء، بيدك الخير إنك على كل شيء قدير. تولج الليل في النهار وتولج النهار في الليل، وتخرج الحي من الميت وتخرج الميت من الحي، وترزق من تشاء بغير حساب. لا إله إلا أنت سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك. من ذا يعرف قدرك فلا يخافك، ومن ذا يعلم ما أنت فلا يهابك. ألفت بقدرتك الفراق وفلقت بلطفك الفلاق، وأنرت بكرمك دياجي الغساق، وأنغرت المياه من الصم الصياخيد عذبا وأجاجا، وأنزلت من المعصرات ماء ثجاجا، وجعلت الشمس والقمر للبرية سراجا وهاجا، من غير أن تمارس فيما ابتدأت به لغوبا ولا علاجا. فيا من توحد بالعز والبقاء وقهر عباده بالموت والفناء، صل على محمد وآله الأتقياء، واسمع ندائي واستجب دعائي، وحقق بفضلك أملي ورجائي، يا خير من دعي لكشف الضر والمأمول في كل عسر ويسر. بك أنزلت حاجتي فلا تردني من سني مواهبك خائبا، يا كريم يا كريم يا كريم، برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. وصلى الله على خير خلقه محمد وآله أجمعين. ثم اسجد وقل: إلهي قلبي محجوب ونفسي معيوب وعقلي مغلوب وهوائي غالب وطاعتي قليل ومعصيتي كثير، ولساني مقر بالذنوب، فكيف حيلتي يا ستار العيوب ويا علام الغيوب ويا كاشف الكروب. اغفر ذنوبي كلها بحرمة محمد وآل محمد، يا غفار يا غفار يا غفار، برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. وصل اللهم على محمد وآله الطيبين الطاهرين.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، وصلى الله على سيدنا ونبينا محمد وآله الطيبين الطاهرين. قال الله الحكيم في محكم كتابه الكريم: بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. ويقولون متى هذا الوعد إن كنتم صادقين ما ينظرون إلا صيحة واحدة تأخذهم وهم يخصمون فلا يستطيعون توصية ولا إلى أهلهم يرجعون ونفخ في الصور فإذا هم من الأجداث إلى ربهم ينسلون قالوا يا ويلنا من بعثنا من مرقدنا هذا ما وعد الرحمن وصدق المرسلون إن كانت إلا صيحة واحدة فإذا هم جميع لدينا محضرون آمنا بالله صدق الله العلي العظيم اللهم صل على محمد. Brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Continuing on reflections on the ayat of Surah Yasin, this surah which is very recommended to recite on a daily basis. It's a protection for those who recite it in the day for that day and in the night for that night. In there, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, after addressing his messenger and confirming him being infallible amongst the infallible messengers, ala sirat al-mustaqim, then he speaks of the Quran and how different nations dealt with those who came to warn them, those who came to guide them, divine guides, prophets, and their successors, and the example that was given, an example of a city. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not mention the name of the city or the individuals, the prophets or the person who came to support the prophets. In other words, it could be anywhere, it could be anybody, and it applies to every time. Whenever people come to guide, typically nations, typically people, go back to their traditions, culture, and prefer to follow whatever their ancestors taught them, regardless right or wrong. So they deny them, they mock them, they make fun of them, and they prosecute them and kill them in some cases, or in many cases, in fact. You know, of the Ahlul Bayt, salawatullah wa salamu alayhim ajma'in, all of them being either killed by the sword or poisoned, the Imams of Ahlul Bayt. And inshallah, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allow us to live until the time of the Imam of our time, when he brings justice, when humanity matures, when humanity matures to the point that they are willing to accept the justice that is decreed by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for mankind on earth. And after mentioning the examples, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala then speaks of the final, the result of those who denied, the result of those who did not accept the message. After, obviously, in the story of Habib al-Najjar, or that man who came to support the messengers, and how he was martyred, and qila dkhulil jannah, he entered paradise, or he was admitted immediately to paradise, and his honorable position from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Then the punishment comes. وَمَا أَنزَلْنَا عَلَىٰ قَوْمِهِ مِنْ بَعْدِهِ مِنْ جُنْدٍ مِنَ السَّمَاءِ. We did not need to send an army from the heavens. It is one call from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, صَيْحَةً وَاحِدَةً, and all of them were perished, basically. فَإِذَا هُمْ خَامِدُونَ. And how people are in a very regretful situation. يَا حَسْرَةً عَلَى الْعِبَادِ. Eventually, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in the ayat that I recited, 48 to 53 of this surah, he, after reminding them, and we discussed, if you recall, وَإِذَا قِيلَ لَهُمْ, when it said to them, آمِنُوا, believe, they say, do we believe like the foolish ones? When it said to them, spend, they say, if God wanted to give those people, he would have given them. And, always debating, always denying. Then he says one of their arguments, so always they're argumentative. Prophets come, messengers come, divine guides come. And in our time, those who, in fact, when we have our great scholars in Maraja, who are reminding people, who are guiding people, or reminding people to the message of the Prophet and his progeny, Ahlul Bayt salawatullah wa salam alayhim, or anybody who is inviting people towards divine teachings and guidance, we should not have the attitude of constantly debating and constantly denying. This is the nature of the non-believers. This is the nature of the losers in the eyes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He says, always arguing. وَيَقُولُونَ مَتَى هَذَا. The biggest argument that they have is regarding the day of judgment, the day of resurrection. When is this promise? You keep on speaking of a promise, and there will be a reward for the good ones, punishment for the bad ones. When is it? وَيَقُولُونَ مَتَى هَذَا الْوَعْدُ إِن كُنتُمْ صَادِقِينَ. If you are truthful, them referring to the believers that are constantly telling them that there will be a time that we will be, the believers will be rewarded, and those who are constantly denying will be punished. Then they're asking, they're questioning. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, it is so simple. It is, though first of all, it's not in your hands or in the hands of the Prophet or in the hands of anybody. It is in the hands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And it is very simple. All it takes is sayha, a loud sound. ما ينظرون إلا صيحة. And this ينظرون is, another is to look for something. In this case, it is to what they're waiting for. Or in other words, ينتظرون. What they're denying or what they're waiting for, supposedly saying, when is it? وَيَقُولُونَ مَتَى هَذَا الْوَعْدُ. It is only صَيْحَةً. All it takes is one sound, or one loud sound. واحدة تأخذهم وهم يخصمون. It takes them all while they are quarreling. What are they? What is this? The disagreement that they're having. What is it regarding? There are different suggestions. Some say it is while they're basically in their worldly matters, as usual. People in their worldly matters, they're always fighting. Always, trying to take other people's rights, and other people are fighting back, and so on. So humans, when it comes to their worldly affairs, they're always fighting and quarreling and disagreeing with one another. And while this is happening, this sayha comes and takes them. And there is a hadith from Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He says, while one, an example of that is while one is displaying something for sale. He says a qamis, like a shirt that he's selling, and the other one is looking at it. Suddenly, the day of judgment happens. It's like so, or that sayha happens, that in the end of times. While in the same hadith, he says one is taking a bite, basically raising his hand to take a bite to eat, and it happens. In other words, it's so quick. It is not something that would give anyone any warning. And this is where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, فَلَا يَسْتَطِيعُونَ تَوْصِيَةً وَلَا إِلَىٰ أَهْلِهِمْ يَرْجِعُونَ. It happens so quickly that they have no chance of giving what we know as the wasiyah, or the will. They cannot start dictating their will to their family members. They cannot go back to their family members. Oftentimes, in the normal cases, when somebody realizes that, okay, they're unwell, they're about to depart, they would want to go back home to their family. They would be gathered, or they would be surrounded by their family members, husband or wife, children. Uh, their loved ones are around them, and they would start dictating to their family members, you do this, you do that, this is my will, and so on. None of that can happen. وَلَا إِلَىٰ أَهْلِهِمْ يَرْجِعُونَ. There is no way that they can go back to their family. In fact, there is no way that they can give even a small will. This is, we have the definitive article and indefinitive articles. Here we have this one, tawsiyah. Any will. They cannot give the simplest, and this is it has come indefinitive. In other words, there's not a single small wasiyah that they can give, because the Musi is not able to go back to the Musa ilayh, and the Musa ilayh is not there. Their family members are not there either. Everybody's gone. فَإِذَا هُمْ جَمِيعٌ. All of them in the next part of the ayat clarify. Therefore, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala then describes their situation in terms of after that first sayha. So the first sayha takes everybody, absolutely everyone. وَنُفِخَ فِي الصُّورِ فَإِذَا هُمْ مِنَ الْأَجْدَاثِ. Then the trumpet is blown, and they start coming from the ajdath. Ajdath is the qubur, same as the qubur, which is the graves. So when the trumpet is blown, فَإِذَا هُمْ, suddenly you'll see them coming from the ajdath towards their Lord. They're coming out. Yansilun. Yansilun is very interesting. Nasl is like somebody taking a shirt off, or pulling a hair off from let's say you're making dough and you pull the hair out of it, for example, or in any, like you pull something off something. This is almost the situation, and it's a very graphic description of how the resurrection happens. One is that resurrection it has a physical aspect. There is a physical resurrection, which we call Ma'ad al-Jismani, or the Al-Ma'ad al-Jismani, the physical resurrection. There is a physical body that is suitable for the day of judgment and for that world. That happens, and they come out, they do come out from their graves. Now, this has been always a debate of how, between scholars, of how it happens. Is it the exact same body? Is it the exact same cells? Where some deny that, and some question how does that happen, and so on. Today we have the study of DNA, and how, if in fact there are the study, as they were studying cloning, they were suggesting that we could get to a point that we could get a cell from a single cell from a body, and that could be that single cell is capable to have all the information to recreate us, or remake us. Now, this is in today's limited science and technology that they have learned in the power of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and His knowledge and wisdom. This is it's not a difficult task. The one who created us in the first place is capable of recreating us from a cell. It could be a cell. Does it have to be the exact same? All of them the exact same cells that deteriorated and came back, or could it be from new cells from the soil, from the different parts of earth where our bodies deteriorate, different cells start coming back together? Allahu alam. We don't know exactly. All we know, and Allah, inna Allah ala kulli shay'in qadir, He has power over all things. We would eventually, everybody will come out of their graves one way or another, and that's what matters. In fact, some of these details that we really cannot have a definitive answer. We cannot learn until it happens. When it happens, however, we know that there will be a resurrection, and that is the statement after قالوا يا ويلنا. they say, woe unto us, man ba'athana min marqadina, who brought us out from our marqad is a place of sleep. You know, ruqud is actually sleeping. وتحسبهم أيقاظا وهم رقود. The story of أصحاب الكهف. You think that they're awake, but they are asleep. وتحسبهم أيقاظا وهم رقود. Here, من بعثنا من مرقدنا. Who brought us out? Who resurrected us or woke us up from our sleep? And then they say, هذا, this is what the merciful God promised, and the messengers were truth-telling. وَصَدَقَ الْمُرْسَلُونَ. Now some suggest that this statement is from the angels. When they question مَنْ بَعَثَنَا مِنْ مَرْقَدِنَا, then the answer from the angels or from the believers is هَذَا مَا وَعَدَ الرَّحْمَنُ وَصَدَقَ الْمُرْسَلُونَ. Nonetheless, it doesn't have to be the angels. It could be them. In other ayat, we have that acknowledgement from the non-believers at that point that yes, we acknowledge and we testify to the truth that they are seeing. So they say this is what the merciful God promised, and the messengers were told the truth about it. This يا ويلنا من بعثنا من مرقدنا is interesting because we know after we die we go into the barzakh. And barzakh, according to the riwayat, is for some is a garden from paradise, and for others it is it is almost like it is a well from hellfire. In fact, similar to the hellfire, but it's not the same hellfire, the final abode that the disbelievers or some of those who deserve it will face. So they will experience some of that in barzakh. So how did they think that they were asleep? مَنْ بَعَثَنَا مِنْ مَرْقَدِنَا. Why did they think they were asleep? There are different suggestions. Some say, well, the extreme bad will be in wells of fire. The good ones who deserve paradise will be in gardens, like their paradise, in barzakh, after death, before the day of judgment, before the resurrection. However, there are some, according to this first option or suggestion, there are some who are neither in adab nor in neither in a punishment nor in a rewarding position. They are basically confused between until their resurrection and so on. That is not necessarily this statement is not necessarily just from those people. It could be from the disbelievers as well. So it's not explaining the situation best, this suggestion. The other suggestion is that everybody will say that because relative or in comparison to the basically in comparison to the barzakh, the resurrection is the reality, is the awakening. Barzakh is almost like sleeping. It is not a real thing. Compared to the akhirah, compared to the ahwal, the difficulties of akhirah, barzakh would seem then like a dream, you could say. And this is what, in fact, the description that is given in the hadith regarding barzakh. Some people, when they ask the imams in terms of the adab in barzakh and how it happens, or the rewards in barzakh, he says, the imam in response, he says, some of you would have a dream. In their dream, they enjoy things that are way more enjoyable than dunya. Or in their dream, their torment and what they're going through in terms of difficulties are way more difficult than what they have in dunya. So they give that example for the rewards and punishment in barzakh. Almost like the imams are trying to say this is a different realm where there is no the vehicle, there's no body, but there is a reward and there is a punishment to the ruh. The ruh is going through it, the soul is going through it, but the body is not experiencing that. Yet it doesn't mean that that experience that is abstract of the body is not rewarding or it's not painful, because we do go through good pleasurable moments in our sleep, or we do go through painful moments in our sleep as well. It's an example. Now, relative to dunya, barzakh is more severe and more real. This dunya is almost like the sleep, and when we die is when we wake up. And relative to barzakh, and this is what the ayah is saying, the relative to barzakh, akhirah is the awakening and barzakh is asleep. You see the stages. We go from a dunya where we think the reality is all here, when in actual fact reality hits when we die. And when we are then resurrected, the real reality comes and the real life comes. And that's why the ayah that says akhirah is the hayawan, is the real life. فإذا هم من الأجداث إلى ربهم ينسلون قالوا يا ويلنا من بعثنا من مرقدنا هذا ما وعد الرحمن وصدق المرسلون. This is the promise of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the merciful God, and the messengers told the truth. إن كانت إلا صيحة واحدة. This is a reminder of what happens and how resurrection happens. You think it's difficult, everybody is in their graves, everybody's dead. How does it happen? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, similar to the first sayha that took all of them, another sayha, sayhata wahidatan, is loud sound, and every one of them, فَإِذَا هُمْ جَمِيعٌ لَدَيْنَا مُحْضَرُونَ, will be resurrected to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Beautiful way, beautiful, in fact, very graphic scene of resurrection that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reminds us in this surah. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us amongst those who are reminded. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen wa sallallahu ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa alihi tayyibin at-tahirin. Inshallah, if there are any questions, otherwise we